Notion AI wants to be your entire workspace. Notes, tasks, projects, AI. Worth it. Depends on the setup.
Like I have to move everything into Notion right away. This is so exciting. This can manage everything. A combination of tools might actually be your best bet, and that's what I found is helpful for me. Now I'm going to get into Notion and actually bring up a few pages and dashboards and databases and all that good stuff so you could see how maybe you could potentially use Notion to manage and organize your life. I'm not going to go over these things or these pages in great detail. This isn't a Notion tour, if you will.
That all-in-one promise sounds appealing, but the real question is whether one flexible workspace beats stitching together specialized apps for each job.
I actually don't script my videos outside of just bullet points and so forth. This would have taken me multiple tools, number one, to do this kind of research. Could I have done this in, say, Claude Projects? Yeah, I could have done that. But if I'm doing all of this in one tool, why would I need to go outside of...
If you're in a workplace, if you run your own business, whatever it is, using Notion will have such a big benefit into your productivity. I would say I'd cut down my admin time per week from maybe a day or two per week to about 2 hours. In terms of writing notes and stuff, you're not putting some stuff on a Google Keep, and then other stuff you're messaging to yourself, and then some stuff you're keeping on your Google Docs, and then other stuff you're doing an Excel document, which you're then emailing to someone. All of this stuff.
Those time savings are real, but they hinge entirely on setup. So here's the trap buyers hit when they let Notion's flexibility run unchecked.
Of your life, and since you built it with your own hands, you attribute an exponentially higher value to it. Because if you take a normal to-do app, yeah, you can launch it, you can start using it, it has some cool features, but it's not something that is truly yours. If you grew up playing Lego, just as I did, you know that the peak moment is building.
Project page. Makes sense, right? But more experienced Notion users will immediately notice some issues. For example, there is no project status or deadline. Completed and ongoing tasks will start to clutter up the page, and we can't filter these notes by relevance. This setup works for super simple projects.
That breakdown isn't a bug. It's why buyers need to understand how Notion's databases actually connect before committing their whole workflow to it.
Towards the end of the video. So how does the relations feature actually work? By default, our Notion databases live in separate silos. This means our projects database has no idea that our tasks and notes databases even exist, and vice versa. The relations feature lets us connect our databases so they can share information. This means that only the relevant information
It will try to use it for everything. And this innate human behavior, first documented in the 1800s, is why people are getting triggered to solve every aspect of their lives with a Notion database, even if it's not the best tool for the job. For me, for example, it took some months to realize that Notion sucks for my to-dos, so I switched to a dedicated...
One week to-do feature might not matter for a note taker, but it signals a pattern. Notion trades depth for breadth across the board.
Use it to send emails. But we still have not covered the worst of it, because so far, all of these features are simply not as good as the alternative solutions that are out there. But now we come to Notion Calendar and Notion Mail. These massive additions to the software are not only bad alternatives, but Notion has not been entirely honest with you about what the software actually is. Alex, do you want to take this one?
That jack-of-all-trades verdict plays out feature by feature, and it hits hardest when buyers try to bend Notion into a role a specialist owns.
Using all of these apps, Notion saw that as a gap in the market, and so they swooped in and said, we can create a program that combines the functionality of all these apps into one tool. So yes, you can take notes, manage tasks and projects, upload files, communicate with your team, and so much more inside Notion.
Somebody because X amount of time has passed since you last spoke with them. Notion, on the other hand, lacks the last few features entirely. Notion does not ingest your emails automatically, therefore you're not going to know when you last interacted with someone. And you also miss out on important information like if a lead is hot or warm based on how many times they've opened up.
Sales teams aren't the only ones who'll hit a wall. Anyone leaning on Notion for scheduling runs into the same specialized tool gap.
to do this change, and it did it in a matter of seconds. And by the way, as you might expect, you do need to subscribe to Notion in order to have access to the personalized AI agents and all the things that we're talking about here today. I recommend the business plan simply because at the Plus plan, you only get a trial of Notion AI, whereas it's $20 per member per month at the business level, or if you pay monthly, it's $24. And you get access to all of the
Buy Notion AI if you want to consolidate scattered tools and will invest setup time. Skip it if you need best-in-class to-dos, calendar, or CRM. Those still need dedicated apps. Start Notion AI's free plan. No card, limited AI built in via first link below. Confirm limits fit.